mercy, no mercy.
Okay, hey guys, what's up? Long time no see. So, as you guys know about the whole coups and everything going on, I think that my opinion on this is gonna be very different. Explains it itself. I don't really see a lot of these coups as a big deal. I don't even think that they're going to bring much change if they even bring any. And the reason why I'm saying that is if you look at these particular countries that are having these coups right now, these are not like their first ever coups. Some of these countries have been having like 6, 7 coups back to back to back. Not like back to back, like year after year, but it's like 1 year it's a coup, then 20 years later there's another coup, 10 years later there's another coup, 2 years later there's another coup. So going through some of this coup history, I hope to explain to you guys why the problem is like it's tenfold. It's multiple things that are the issue, you know? Some news stations are going to say, "Oh, France is the issue." Yeah, yes, France is a problem, but really if you think about it, right? Some of these presidents, right? They get into power and then they change the constitution to run for a third time. How does one person have the power to change the country's whole constitution? Like, how does that work? And why has that been something that has been allowed since the 60s and 70s? Why has no one looked into changing that? Because this is the thing. Some of these coups, even that happened in 2020, 2021, it was, oh, the president wants to run a third term, right? Oh, the president changed the constitution because they want to run a third term. And I'm just like, no offense, but how is your country's institutions that weak and that easy to infiltrate that one human being without the counsel of an actual, parliament or governmental body says, I feel like running for a third term, so I'm going to do that. And then everyone gets mad, they get in an uproar, so they have to remove that president. And then guess what? Another president comes in after you had military rule, and that president goes like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should try running again and again and again and again too. Like, why? when things like this happen, I really have to ask myself, what's the point of calling your country a democracy when someone could literally say, no, I want to be the president of this country for life, and there are no ramifications, like they can just easily do it. It's really bad. And that's something that, yeah, you could sit there and blame France, but this is your country. Like, are you going to change that? Because that's going to be a persistent problem that you're going to have to keep dealing with. And don't ask France to help you out with that, because they're actually happy that you don't really know how to run a country. They're more than happy to be there and act like they're your friend. So they're not going to help you draft another constitution. Like, what? Anyways, again, I don't mean to be mean. I don't mean to be rude. This is like criticism that I would even tell myself if I was a president. Yeah, I would. So, so it's not that I don't side with the people. I actually have no issues with people protesting. I have no issues with people going out in the street and saying that, they're not happy with how their country is being ran. This is nothing against the people. I'm very skeptical about these military leaders. I'm very skeptical about how a military could come in and run a country better than a president, an elected government. Even if they're corrupt, what makes people think that militaries are not corrupt either? Like, have we not seen in history that someone literally gets rid of a president and then they become a president themselves after getting rid of a previous president? So it's like, it's not that I'm against coups, but I'm speaking from somebody who's seen that these coups have been a thing since the 1960s and they're still happening. And I'm like, so where is the remedy? Like, how do we solve this? You know, because another thing I noticed about some coups, not all of them, some of them are successful. But what I noticed about some of these coups is you get rid of the president, right? And then the military just sits there, and I don't know what they're doing, but they're the new government. So they don't really know what they're supposed to do either. They just sit there until years go by and they vote another president in power, and then that president turns out being bad too. So then it's just like, what's the point in doing that? Like what is the like it's like, to me, I would be happier if these military juntas came out and said, "Hey, this is the plan that I have. I want to get rid of this government, but then I'm going to do something with the resources. I'm going to make sure that my people, I raise their GDP, I raise their quality of life so that we don't have to keep going into these cycles." I don't know if that's too much to ask, that these military leaders actually do more than just say good speeches, but actually have policy that actually changes things. Because it's really exhausting having a coup after a coup after a coup. Like, I think that's exhausting. It's like, where is the person who is competent enough to actually make things happen other than giving speeches of, oh, we're united, we're together? You're talking about France being a bad person. How about all the other foreign troops that are in your country? Are you also going to get rid of them too? Or is it just, let's focus on France, and then once France is gone, everything is okay, which clearly is not the case. Like, it's I don't know. So I'm not saying that I'm not happy seeing people mobilize, but just this propaganda of like, okay, we're gonna have a coup and this is gonna be the last one. By the way things are going, I can see another coup in 2025. I could see another coup in 2030. I could see another coup in 2057 by the way things are going, just personally speaking. So before I drop the link, let me just, because maybe some people don't get it, right? So let's start with Mali. Mali's first coup was in 1968. The reason for the coup was there was economic hardship, loss of control. The government then wanted to suspend the constitution and the parliament. Okay, they got rid of the first president in 1968. Fast forward to 1991. The military leader is now the president, and he's been ruling from 1968 to 1991. And people say, hey, this guy has been ruling too much for too long. First of all, for how does someone rule that long? Whatever. This person has been ruling from 1968 to 1991. Everyone's talking about this is bad, this is horrible, this person's not helping our country, there's mismanagement of funds, opposition groups are not allowed. So then, fast forward to 2012 in Mali, the whole Tuareg rebellion, insurgency, things are not really safe, troops are not happy. The military says the government is not doing a good job. Let's be in power and let's take back our country. Let's take back our country by also inviting foreign troops to our country who are then years later going to become a problem and undermine us in our own country. Fast forward to 2020, soldiers are unhappy and they want to get rid of the president, Ibrahim Keita, who wanted to run for a third term. So the first newly elected, democratically elected government in 2020, he wants to now, and not wants to, he actually did change the constitution to try to run for a third term. That's a huge problem. The fact that someone says, hey, I'm loving this power, let me just run again, and you have to get the military to kick that person out. And then in 2021, 9 months later, they had another coup again. And I don't know about this current president. I don't know what he's up to, but I hate to say it. If another coup happens, I'll probably understand why. Let's get into Guinea. In 1984, the government overstayed their terms. So they had to do a coup to get rid of that government. That government, Conte, ran from 1984 to 2008. How does a government run from 1984 to 2008? Which is why they needed to have a coup in 2008. Now, same scenario, Alpha Conde changes the constitution and he wants to run for a third term in 2021. The case in Burkina Faso seems to be, in the case of Burkina Faso, coups in Burkina Faso weren't always a bad thing because the 1983 coup brought Thomas Sankara to power. So that was a good coup, I guess. But most of their coups have had pretty bad leaders. And the traitor who actually murdered uh, Thomas Sankara, Blas Compaoré, he wanted to change the constitution in 2014 to continue running for president. So you have that on top of the insurgencies, on top of security factors, on top of having to invite outsiders to your country to help with the security factors, on top of a government that doesn't seem to be functioning in the first place. It's like a recipe for disaster. Now, with the most recent coups in Niger that people are talking about, I'm definitely happy that, the Sahel is uniting and all these French countries are coming together and they're trying to mobilize and trying to get rid of this one French enemy. I'm very, very happy about that. But I have to say, but, even though I don't want to. What I'm not seeing or what I'm not hearing, and of course, I'm not in these countries, I'm not part of the government. So maybe there are things that are happening behind the scenes that I'm not aware of. But what I'm not hearing is any actions or plans to actually help these economic crises in these countries. All I'm hearing about is we have to unite, we have to come together. But what happens after that? Because I think right now everyone has established that France is an issue. So what is actually going to happen after you already established that France is an issue? And that is why I'm very skeptical of what a lot of these coup leaders are talking about. Because to me, it's like everyone is so happy, everyone is so excited, and I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, what is the actual plan that's going to happen? And how can we be in a situation where this can happen in a year or 2 years instead of the military just serving their 2-year term before a new president comes in and all of this stuff just kind of dies down? Like, I don't really see the urgency to actually change a lot of these things that should have been fixed a long time ago by previous governments. And then would it be fair to expect that a military acts just like a government or even better than a government? Or is the military just supposed to stay there until they vote for a new president? Because if the military is just supposed to stay there before they vote for a new president, then of course there's nothing I can say. But then how are you going to vote for a new president who actually takes any of this stuff seriously so that we're not in the same position again and again and again? Because the issue with a lot of these countries is, you know, there's a lot of, you know, I don't know what the correct term is. Let's just say insurgencies, a lot of, jihadism and things like that that are happening. But then it makes sense why it's happening because these countries are not benefiting from the resources that they have. So then the governments who are so smart, I always wonder why these governments who are so smart cannot tackle that issue alone so that the issue of security can be brought down without the help of foreign troops. Because people are talking about, oh, the US has been very quiet about this. The US supports Niger. And I'm like, why would the US ever support Niger? Like, why would they ever support Niger? US does not have to like France to be on France's side. They know what time it is. US also has interests in Niger being the way that it is. That's why they don't need to say much because they're also happy in the background. So I don't know where people are talking about, oh, they could just get these other Western powers who aren't saying anything to help them. Who? The only people I could think of that might actually have interests in helping Niger that maybe aren't as bad are the East, like the Eastern powers. Maybe they could do something about this, but France, Britain, US, I see them all as the same people. So if France has an issue with Niger, I don't see US coming and saying, "Hey, stop doing this." US is going to act in their own interest as well. Like, but okay, let me say this. Do I believe that these countries are waking up and that they realize that they need better? No. I believe they already knew that, but they're being more vocal about it now. But when I read titles of people saying that Niger is standing up to France, I don't know if I can agree with that statement. I have nothing against Nigerians, but to say they're standing up against France because what they kicked out the ambassador, they closed the embassy, so that they're standing up against France because they're doing those things. Okay, sure. I mean, my pessimistic mind, the way that it works is you tell these people to get out of your country, and you'll have your own people from your own country go against your back to work with these people. So the same people who are saying, "Oh, we're getting rid of France," are some of the same people who are actually working with France behind their backs and saying, "Oh, no, we're not doing that." That seems to be the case more often than not. So, anyways, that's enough for right now. Maybe I'll have more to say later. I do have actually a lot more to say, but if anybody wants to come up, let me drop the link. Well, let me see what you guys are actually saying too. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Hi, Bertha. I'm good. Hi, Audrey. Camille. Yeah, I know. I'm back from the dead. uh, so Audrey saying I left Nigeria in the late 90s when they were still under military rule. I don't think I even experienced democracy in Nigeria at all. Um, yeah, I don't. These countries say they're democratic, but there's too much weird stuff that happens in the background, to be quite honest. What is democracy? Well, democracy is supposed to be democracy is supposed to be people not being able to mess with elections, people not being able to change the constitution whenever they feel like it. Um, democracy is supposed to be the rule of the people, but it isn't. Democracy is basically putting people who are competent enough to make the decisions for everybody else. And the problem in a lot of these African countries, we don't even have the people who are competent in power. So, of course, they can't make the decisions on behalf of all Africans or the Africans of their nations because these people they don't even care about their nations. They just care about making money and stealing it and doing this and doing that. Um, I don't think a lot of these countries are ready for democracy either. I think we're fooling ourselves when we say we're democratic nations, that we're this, we're that. I do think that we really are fooling ourselves, because our leaders, whenever they get 10 years of power, then they want to go for another 5 years. Where does that come from? Re the people talking. Okay, okay. Let me add.
Hey, what's up, African millennial? Your favorite Akata is in the house. You know
Hair color.
what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, just minding these Akata streets and whatnot, keeping an eye on my ancestral motherland and everything. That's my obligation as a good Akata in America, right? To make sure that something going on the continent that doesn't get out of hand. I know a lot of African Americans could care less, but I do. Anyway, but what I'm saying about democracy, right? We have to stop kidding ourselves, right? And I've been having this conversation with a lot of people, and the road I'm going down is a really dangerous road I'm going down. But I have to start telling the truth. I have to start telling the truth, right? Uh, the black race did not build pyramids. We didn't build ancient Egypt. We did not do that. Majority of black people, or those of us of sub-Saharan African descent, right, have really no written history. You know, And so this was the reason why the transatlantic slave trade was able to happen. This is why colonial was able to happen. You know. So what I'm trying to say is this: they forced it the most advanced system of governing on us, right? To people who were uh, uh, just coming into the Middle Ages. So in other words, basically, you have people just trying to understand themselves. They didn't go through a Middle Age. They didn't go through a medieval period. They didn't go through an Age of Enlightenment. They didn't go through all these stages that the Europeans and the Asians did. They didn't have systems. Now in Mali Empire, you had an advanced system, but that didn't permeate to the rest of the continent. So the Europeans created a system of government, right? And if you read Socrates, right, ask Socrates what he thought about so-called democracy. He didn't believe in it. Because Socrates put it like this, right? Socrates said, if you're on a ship, right, and a few people know the direction that's going to avoid the rocks, avoid the stones, and the majority of people on the ship don't know what the direction is, right? Do you put it to a vote? He said no, because the people are going to vote their emotions, and they're not going to make the right decision. You have to have people empowered to make decisions for the masses, right? Now, Lee Kuan Yew also said that democracy only works when you have a middle class and you have an educated population. And democracy only works when you have a pluralistic society. That means a society based on ideas, not tribe, not religion, not background, not region. Is a country of ideas. Now, where do those ideas come from? Usually in Asia, they have philosophers like Tao and Confucius that pass philosophies down for centuries. So therefore, they're able to build over vast territories similar thought processes, similar ideals and goals, right? So therefore, when you put something like democracy or government to people, they're pretty much on the same page. We don't have that in Africa. We don't. We were just these countries were artificially put together, and they said let's have a vote. But is that fair to everybody who may be from a smaller tribe? You might have brilliant people in a tribe, but because this tribe doesn't have any numbers, he can never be heard. Is that fair? No. In a country of ideas, in a pluralistic society, right? A person wouldn't care about the person's background. He wouldn't care about his tribe. He'll see that person is the person to lead us. That's the person that can bring us to the next level. But you don't have that when you have limited resources and limited opportunities, and people do like that. Is that Cadola on? Is that Cadola on in the O?
Yeah, bro.
What's going on, bro? Long time no see, man. This is
For
what I was telling Condola last night. Democracy is something. I think African countries, to be honest with you, right? Like I said, I know African millennial, you don't like the coups and everything because it looks bad. Don't worry about your friends in Canada, the white people, what they think. They're behind all this stuff in the first place. I felt hopefully this would be the last of it, and maybe something good could come out of it, right? But this is bound to happen. You cannot tell another generation of Africans to be poor and impoverished and everything while they're looking on social media and seeing the rest of the world develop, and they're sitting there being humiliated by exporting cocoa and gold and everything, and they're not making any money off it. Africa does not produce anything, right? And when you look at what's the play Qatar? Qatar basically exports its own natural gas thing to markets all over the world. There's no African country that exports oil or any finished product to the rest of the world because we haven't gotten to that business. There's no African ships that I see. I live on the east coast of America. I live on a harbor. I've never seen an African ship pull into the harbor, the Chesapeake Bay Harbor. I see Asian ships. I see Indian ships. I see everything else unloading and unloading. Never seen an African ship. So we don't have the infrastructure because we don't want it. The first thing to do is basically build the infrastructure, the industrial capacity and everything. Now we got a stake in securing what we need. And therefore, could pick men and women of ideas, not men and women of tribal background, not men and women of importance of this person got a degree from Harvard and everything. Men and women of ideas. And that's one thing we as black people, not just Africans, African Americans too. We don't care about things. We just care about who's popular. That's why black America's cities are in a mess. We let idiots in office and everything because they're popular, right? We don't talk about his idea, people's ideas. What can you do? What's in your soul? What do you mean? And we as black people, got to graduate from that. We can't just go by who got the latest dance move or who looks good in a suit and everything. It's not just black Africa. It's black America. There's something wrong with our race. So I'll yield to Kidola.
Thank you, bro. Am, welcome back, man. A long time, 2 years, right?
I don't think it was that long. I don't think she was that. I think last time I was on the show was early this year.
Is she still there? Oh, she left. She's sleeping.
Yeah, here.
What happened? You left. You left your channel. You maybe you're busy. Your
No,
job
she
takes
got
over
tired
you,
of
right?
us. She got tired of us. She got tired of us Negroes.
Well, I wasn't that busy, but I just felt, I don't know, I just felt like the topics were the same. Like it was the same thing over and over and
I know.
over.
I know where you went to do your traditional marriage. Now you're busy taking care of your husband. That's good. You know. So YouTube have to be aside first, which is perfect for African woman, man. To this topic, you see, democracy is not an African thing at all. It's not. Where democracy is not part of democracy is not the type of democracy they brought to us is a kind of like fake democracy. I prefer the military regime than this democracy because democracy is even if you take an American one as an example, at least you see they have all the things that are at least 92% independent, you know. But the African democracy, they're not independent there. The judiciary is not independent. The executive are worst. The whole thing is the police, the army, they're not just independent at all. They all use each other to carry out their end goal. Because Africa or West Africa is a set of tribal society, what they would have done when the white people formed this country, these so-called countries, they would have allowed each tribe to sit in a parliament that represents each other. Then every money, whatever comes in there, they will share. It was like that anyway. Let me use Nigeria as an example. When Nigeria have independence, when Nigeria got their independence, it was almost like the British waste system, called the parliamentary system. And the regions, they're not like one man rule the whole state like United States. Every region have its own head, like premier, east premier, west premier, middle, it's like that, not premier. But towards then, whatever you produce in your territory, that's what you used to enhance your territory. That it was going good. Everybody was really liking it, was enjoying it. Boom, after the Biafra War, then the so-called military man, go one that came at that time, think, whoa, or that strong man will come from a region and take you want to break off. That's how this started. And check what now. This military coup, I think they just want to outdo each other. Our African leaders want to be king of king, but the king of king they want to be is not the king of king to take care of their own people. Rather, they want to be king of king, that you have to come and worship them. You understand? And they can be easily be, and the ones that are mostly corrupt in Africa are the ones that went to United States and London to school. They're far more corrupt than the Africans that actually never really traveled out. Because the Africans that never really traveled out, they don't see expensive mansions like that. They don't think, oh, I need to live in a social area. I need to live in that area. I need to buy that house in that area. But those ones that went to United States and Britain to study, who spent years there, they want to grab the money, the 10 million, the 20 million, the $1 billion to start buying houses in this area that they want to be respected by the white man in this area. It's a shame. It's a shame. Look at Gabon for an example. Look at even Guinea. Look at even our side here. We all want things to change. But these men are buying private jet. Private jet is like the new Mercedes Benz for them now. They fly in, they fly out. How do you, with this kind of system, how can you run the country with this kind of system? They don't master the Western propaganda to lie heavily. In Nigeria, the medias they can lie and lie and lie and lie, and lie until the country will burst. The country will almost will burst in their hands. So army coming in is just to arrest these politicians, and let's see how idiot they can look like when you're not in that power. When they this power, they use the police and the army to deal with you. But the moment you arrest them, you start seeing the way they bend their hand and say, "So I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Oh yeah, we really messed up. I'm very sorry." Take everything away from them. If the Europeans refuse to bring the money they stole to their country, arrest them, put them in live jail. Not just them alone, their whole entire family. The man's wife and his children will be put in jail. The brothers of the man will be put in jail. Democracy will never work in Africa because Africans want to be a king of kings in its own region, just like the kings that were ruling Africa before the white man came. That's just they want to be. They want to you that live inside you will be the slave. That's just that's the way they want to rule.
Okay, so if democracy can never work in Africa, what are Africans supposed to do?
Well, let me say, you want to say Afro millennial? Well, Africa. First of all, you got to understand something, right? The only people that benefit from Africa is the Europeans. They divide the continent up in spheres of influence on themselves, right? China and has more people than the African continent, but they have one political party, one government governing the same amount of people as Africa. Africa, you got 54 countries and like 1,000, but everybody out there doing their own thing. So it can never come together. Africa needed one government, right? One central government, right? Authoritarian military state like the Soviet Union for at least 50 years. That's what Africa needed. With mandatory education, mandatory everything, state runs this, limited private ownership of business, but state-run business also like this for at least 50 years to develop the infrastructure and get people into the on the grid to the middle class. You know, then once you reach that threshold, like South Korea did, then naturally people say, "Look, it's time for democracy." That's what happened in South Korea. The military ran the country for 40 something years, and then they said, "Wait a minute, we want democracy. We want democracy." They rioted in Korea for like a couple of years, and they thought Ronald Reagan was going to help them. Ronald Reagan turned their back on South Korea, and then Korea got what they wanted: a democratic society, a parliament, everything. But the thing is, the military realized, okay, the people are ready to handle this. But the thing is, they did not hand the people over. When you're trying to develop a state, right, a nation state, right, and you're serious, right, you have to have an authoritarian system. Look at Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, and look at Asia. They have to be mandates. You can't give popular. You can't have populism when you got people who are ill-informed. Because all the Europeans do is this: they basically create profiles of the African politicians, right? Just say the guy Buhari, whatever the guy's name is in Niger. Who was this guy? This guy was a Anglo, a francophone guy, right? But how did he get in power? Simply, France props them up, and they basically control the media in these countries and put them on the pedestal and everything. Next, thing you know, you're voting for somebody you don't even know who was background. Same thing was Adu guy in Ghana. This guy is a Negropean, but he's hoisted on the Ghanaian people, and everything. It's like, where do these people come from? You don't know their background, anything. So the Europeans have know how to manipulate democracy and everything. There's never been like somebody, a grassroots person that I know of that's came to power in Africa in any significant way that came directly from the people. These people come from Western educated people. They hang in Western circles and they got connections. What do you think they're gonna do when they get in power? They're gonna take care of the people who have taken care of them for decades. While they lived in the West. Is that democracy? No. But people think you have this idea of because you have an election, you have democracy. That's not the case. What we have in America is a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy in America. It's a constitutional republic with three branches of government and three levels of government. Democracy basically does not exist anywhere on the planet. You know, what we have is republics, right? With a democratic process. See the difference? We have a
Yeah,
democratic process.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Like, there's no such thing as a democracy, and in Africa, a democracy cannot work at all because the people who are put in power, as you said, no one knows where they come from, what their motives are. So how can they make decisions on behalf of people who vote for them? And a lot of these people don't even, I hate to say it, but some of these people, they just vote based on, oh, this person is from my tribe, or
Exactly.
they did things in my home area or my hometown. That's why these people vote for these presidents. They don't actually know anything of what the president is going to do, or what the party is going to do. They have no idea.
We
Neither
call
do
it
the people
pork
here,
barrel
but
product. We call it pork barrel politics in America. In Africa, I call it chicken and rice politics. You come around with a chicken and a bag of rice, and you got to vote. That's simple. That's what passes for democracy.
The
And the
truth, the
West,
truth
get
of the
this.
matter is, some
Yeah,
of these leaders are not even doing nothing in their own territory. From they have no hospitals there. They have nothing there. They have mansions. Look, how can I leave Africa? They want to buy Napoleon type of chairs in their city rooms. They want to buy 1852 furnitures in their visitors' rooms. They want to sleep like Napoleon type of bed. Look, a typical black man wants just to be lord. He want to be lord of
yep.
everything. So
We
they know
all,
that
yeah, Kidola. It's the same thing in America. The black man don't care about trying to compete with the white. All he wants to do is look big in front of other black people and oppress other black people with his money, his status, and whatever he is. It's in our nature. We're cowards. When it comes to we let the little tiny Asian man whoop us upside the head. You know, and the
yeah,
bottom line, but we kill each other and oppress each other and everything. We'll say nothing about the white man, the
you,
Asian
you,
man,
you can
whoever else.
you can see Mobutu Sese Seko is like a typical African leaders and kings who just vanish. Have nothing to show in the past. Look at Congo. That's just a typical black man. He's black man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They want to have all kind of things that they saw. Look, how can I leave Africa and go and buy a mansion in Western world and be eating their food that their chicken is not strong chicken like the one we eat in Nigeria or in Africa. Then you want to go be eating their food that this food is full of sugar, nothing else. Then you leave this territory, you going back there, then you want to say, yeah, I have I have two mansions in Malibu. I have
yeah,
I have a house in Piccadilly in London.
You
Uh,
know, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I always thought, I always thought, how can an African leader have so many houses in the West? But it's like the people back in this country are struggling. But this guy can have houses, just houses in the West. And the thing about African leaders, see, people be like, oh, look at the White House. The White House, they just live there for their term and then they leave. Like they don't just, but with an African government, they'll build a White House and they'll just stay there
yeah,
and build more after they're not president anymore.
yeah, but with the dead or with the gone, these houses will
Yeah,
be
with the
collapsing.
load, yeah.
Because the African people don't have maintenance culture. You understand? They just want to build it and let people see it. Look, some Nigerian politicians have houses in America built for 50 million. You know how much that in naira? Then you see their children flying out in. Sometimes their children they even becoming useless. Also putting things in their nose, you know, heavily something else in these countries, And this again that study in United States or in London. Why can't you make your territory or the country look like where you're coming from? No, but they don't want that. But they want to come close to the white man expensive neighborhood, not their own neighborhood, not even I'm even talking about their own kitchen. No, apart from them, they'll just build a multiple mansions, mega mansion inside a mighty land. That's just what you see. No hospitals, they don't renovate the schools, they don't do nothing. That's what I wonder. Have all these African leaders seen George Bush coming to Africa to buy a house? No. Have this African leader ever seen Tony Blair or whatever these guys coming to Africa to buy a house in the Banana Island? No. But our leaders are good to just go there, say, I have houses in these places, and they thought they're beyond the African level. They want to compete with the white man in the class level. And guess what? With this money, this money arrived in Western world. The white man will know how this money came into their country, but they will be very patient. The moment you want to say, "Oh, let me transfer this money back to somewhere," they'll say, "Oh, sorry, money laundering." These people will lose this money, and or they will put a law on them like, okay, if you don't want to go to jail, this money have to be left here for about 30 years. They will be using your money to trade. Then you that have the money, if you make noise, then you stay in that house, they will give to you in London. Okay, you stay in this house, you'll be using the same money to pay the tax and everything. In Africa, we don't pay property we don't pay what we call property tax. You just owns our houses. We don't pay no property tax. You die, you transfer it to your next of kin. But when they go to this Western countries, they pay what's called property tax. Houses that never really belong to you. When you die, this house is not yours. That just all. So that's why I say democracy don't work. Through this democracy, we could see things, what is really going on. You know, can Tony Blair boast of right? Even Obama said don't even have Bentley. But our African leaders have Rolls Royce, Bentley, Ferrari, even senators. Check Nigerian senators, what they have in their houses, or the latest cars and everything. They don't do no love to make even their own territory better. If there's dedicate money to those their territory, they will just eat it. And they don't give a damn. And they'll tell you, oh, we're working. So democracy really is for every leader. Okay, come with your leader in your tribe. And come and sit in parliament. Let's share the money well now. Then you will see that some of these our kings or chiefs, we will hold them. So it will be easy for us to deal with these people than these politicians who have military power, state power to protect them. But with this our chiefs, if you're not, you could see what happened in the riot, that a king of Lagos was being driven out of his palace by young children, 12 years old boys. They chase him out. They swim in the swimming pool. They destroy houses and everything. Just little kids chase the king of Lagos out of Lagos, out of his palace. So we will know how to handle with these chiefs and these kings in our territory, because we made them chiefs. They without us, they'll never be kings and nothing. But with these so-called politicians, they are ruthless. They will use a state apparatus to go after you. You
Okay.
know,
It's,
Okay.
I got an analogy before you guys talk. I got an analogy. It's like this: Europeans in siphon out African leaders like they siphon out raw materials. They repackage it in Europe and then send it back to Africa. Isn't that what they do to the product, wood and everything? France has a nice lumber industry. They get their lumber from Africa, right? And same thing with the politicians. They bring out African politicians refine them and add value to them, everything, and then they sell them back to the African people as they. Oh, look at this shiny new politician. Same thing they do with everything. They take out the raw materials out of Africa, right? And then they make it overseas and they sell you back the car that came from Africa in the first place. It's the same cycle. Five
Do
hundred
you
years, nothing's changed.
do you think that Africans are too far gone where this cannot change
No,
because
no. No,
you
I
don't?
do think, like I said, you may not like this Afro but I think these coup right here by these young guys in Burkina Faso and everything is something different. I don't support coups, but I think this time something's is definitely happened. There's an awakening.
No, well, I don't know if I trust the whole
I know
group, but
you have every right to be
I
apprehensive.
do trust Traore. I do trust the
I
leader.
love Traore. I love that
Yeah,
young man.
I trust him.
I love this. I love this young man. And so the bottom line is I trust that God gives this young man strength and everything that he continues to do the right thing. And I do think it's Africa's time. You're tired of being humiliated, tired of all this stuff like this. As a black person in America or whatnot, I'm not like the typical person, right? If I see Africans humiliated, I'm humiliated because I see them as me. I see myself over there. That's the way we've been programmed in America. That when you see Africans or anybody black suffering, you feel the same way too. I don't want to see Africa being taken advantage of, destroyed, and stuff like that. That's my ancestral homeland. So naturally, there's a natural love there. I want to see the best for the continent. So anyway, but it's nice talking to you, AM and Kidola. I have to get going. Y'all take care. Okay. Thanks for having me.
Okay,
yeah,
no problem.
Carla, man. I think you're a very young girl. I saw a military regime in Nigeria that was very good. I'm as close to Carla's age. I enjoy military regime in Nigeria. Nigeria boom period was when the army was ruling. And that was the boom period. When the first democracy came to Nigeria after 2 years, the OT collapsed. Nigeria was broke. That was 1983. Nigeria was broke. That what brought the military regime to Nigeria again. You know, till then they tried that 1999. Still, we didn't achieve nothing. The same corruption that broke the 1981 is the same corruption that's still broken Nigeria now till today. The same people, the different people, but the same mentality. How can that be as Africa, a Nigerian man? I'll be checking how to go and buy a house in London, to go and waste my money in London, to buy a property there. For what? What kind of food are they serving there? That you that been made in Africa, that you want to eat the food in
Okay,
London. What kind of food is that?
okay,
Cheesecake?
okay, okay. No, the Nigerian military regime was good. I agree with that. But so are you saying that that Nigerians were just tired of military rule, which is why there's no more coups?
No, no, not like Nigeria was tired of military rule. It's just that the Americans forced democracy to come back to Nigeria, and the so-called ones who were shouting democracy at that time, inside 90s, they're now the one in power, and
In
some of them still,
1.9 miles, use the right
some of
lane to
them,
take exit 49 toward Burton Smith Boulevard, Concord
Uh,
Mills Boulevard.
some of the school,
Amar. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
some of the school in United States and London. Some of them, when the army was ruling, they run and took asylum in uh, in some of this England and US. So when democracy came back, most of them came back, but some of them that came back, they have questionable characters anyway. that they are not fully in charge of Nigeria now. And these people, look, what do you expect a bad people who have questionable characters in their prospective Western world they were staying to come and do for a country? No, these people have no plan. They don't have nothing to do. Rather, they want to be celebrities. They want to be like George Clooney. They want to be like all these guys. They also want to be king of king. So this democracy is a scam. It's a scam, and it will never work because the pot, the money pot is just too large, and they want to carry that money pot to be there. Look at Gabon. Look at that man there. When they say make noise, make noise. Look, just look the way it look like. That this is a man that will dress up with suit, right? It will be like it's all touching the air that he breathes is fitted for him. Look the way he look like sitting on these chairs. I said, please make noise. He sit on the Napoleon chair, right? He want to be French, right? He sit on the Napoleon chair begging for help. Let that Napoleon chair and that man shall help him. So what I would like this military men to do to these African leaders, disgrace them, arrest them, let them wear short knickers, old t-shirt and slippers.
Do
Eh,
you think that it's okay if a country has military coups for 20, 30 years? Do you think
Exit
that's
49
okay?
toward Smith Boulevard.
our
Concord Mills Boulevard.
the look, we're not strong enough. We don't have that mentality of doing for the people. You understand? I don't know much about Ghana system, but I think
Corner
it's
of a
similar
barn.
to
Turn
anyway.
right on Concord Mills Boulevard.
Every Africa country, every West Africa country leaders are
1.4
corrupt as
miles.
the next door
Right
neighbor.
2 lanes.
You understand?
5 out.
So
I-77.
so but off your navigator system, you know. So what you see now is a problem. For democracy to last in Nigeria, we have to be um, we have to have a system that can hold them responsible, an independent system whereby these people, these politicians, they don't have right to appoint judges. Judges is being appointed by a judiciary body that is independent from the government. Their money is coming from independent way of making money budgeted to them, but not by the government. So for democracy to survive, you have to have a system like Canada, England, and United States kind of system that's well established. African ones are not yet there at
I
all.
agree. I agree. I agree. There's not enough bodies. There's not enough, like the judiciary, legislative branch. There's not enough government bodies.
Yes,
So
because
there's too much
you
freedom.
you live in Canada, right?
Yeah.
In Canada, let's assume I have to bring my money. I live in Africa. I have to bring my money to Canada. Very cold territory. Very, very cold in the winter time. Then I'll be happy. I don't understand I don't know the rich territory in Canada, but I'll be happy. You see Africa leader happy that they have a house in Canada. You that is made in Africa, you eat fufu, you eat cook yam, all this fresh food that make you look healthy. Then you'll be going to Canada, you're sending your children there to stay in Canada. Why the Africans in Canada are sending the money to come and build mansions in Africa? But our leaders are doing the opposite thing. You know what I'm saying? You know, the people that live in this America, the Nigerians that can look for greener pasture in this area, are bringing the money to Africa to build houses, set up some little business and other things. But our leaders are taking the money down to this area, buy houses. Then you see they're eating the white man food. They're eating cheesecake, they're eating um, uh,
Fries.
pie, they eat fries, they ask them, can you make me all kind of toast bread and all these things? You know, they want to drink like tea, like the white man and all these things. So you see, they want to copy the way the white man eat food. If the ones in London with bread, beans, and sausage, After they'll eat British, British. They have names. British pie, so kind of pie like that. You know, it can be apple pie. It can be all kind of pie. You know, the white man is eating. You know, you see them dressed like the white man. You understand? Then they will be boasting in Africa when they come back to Africa. I just bought a house in uh, in London, where their areas are like something else, dusty. Look at the one they just sent to jail in England for 10 years. They want to harvest. He want to harvest somebody else's kidney for his daughter. That guy been in that Senate for 20 something years. 20 something years. There's no hospital in his village where he's coming from. No hospital there. But that guy have over 100 something properties, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. You know, you know. So what do you call that of democracy? That man have been sitting down in that Senate for 22 years. There's no need to there's no need to show in his territory. There's no need to show in his territory. Rather you see their mansions in Abuja or Lagos or in the city where they're coming to the capital. It's all about Lamborghini, all kind of expensive cars you see in their compound. They have two wives, they have side chicks, they have everything.
Well,
So
you see,
not a speak, man.
yeah. Well, that's how West Africa is. West Africa, anytime they send them boys, they train those boys into any kind of program. They're coups. Because I remember in Sierra Leone, that happened. Is when all the West African countries send soldiers to Liberia to fight. There's a West African organization called ECOMOG, Economic Community Military Unit, or something like that. All the West African countries was in there. So out of that, you had two coups that took place. One in Sierra Leone, young boys took over. And that dude in the Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, Valentine Strasser took over in Sierra Leone. Then Yahya Jammeh took over in the Gambia. But this is the same thing. These guys are American trained or French trained forces. All these guys in Mali, the guy in Mali, the guy in what you call the place, Burkina Faso, Niger, all these guys are trained by the U.S. Forces because they went over there to train for the jihad. So they came out and they overthrew those boys. That's what they do. But see, to me, people are blowing up military guys. I mean, in Sierra Leone, when those young boys came to power in the beginning, everybody danced in the streets. Everybody was out there, was like, well, we're tired of the old people. We want the young people to rule. But those boys was, man, they started off good, but it started stealing the money, you know, fleecing. If that's the thing with this guy that's in Sierra Leone right now. He lost the election. He's got the same military, whatever he went to the opposition party office and started shooting, you know. And I'm so scared personally because I'm related to those people that were in the opposition. Even when they're shooting at the opposition place, it was my cousin that died. My uncle was a presidential candidate. My uncle won the election cleanly. This guy, it was part of the guys that overthrew the old president. He changed his clothes from a civilian, military to civilian. Then he lost the election. Then he started shooting at people everywhere he goes. He's shooting, killing people, military style. Those are the drawbacks. Even in Guinea, where this guy took over, it's taken so long to transition to democracy. People going out there in the streets protesting is killing them. So I mean, I mean, I don't say democracy is the best way because people buy votes, but the military guys too, when they come in, when it's past their time, some of them hand over, some of them it take them a long time. Even Yahya Jammeh, he lost the election. They had to go over there and talk to him to get him out of there because he still wanted to stay longer. So I mean, leadership in West Africa, it's it's bad anyway you cut it. Look at Nigeria, Sani Abacha. At least you had like people like Babangida, that was a good guy. You know, he invested in everything. Sani Abacha came in and destroyed everything. I mean, you got guys like J.J. Rawlings in Ghana. But the other guys before J.J. Rawlings destroyed the place. You know, it was J.J. Rawlings. Thank God for J.J. Rawlings. Ghana wouldn't have been the way it is now. So military guys have done good. They have done bad. You know, so it's I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I agree.
My brother, look, I've seen the bad side of democracy, the very bad side of democracy. I've seen the military side, also the bad side, but since I've been like this, I think I've enjoyed the military side more. Because there, if you just mess up, they'll just deal with you. Because they follow the order. But democracy is, for me and for my family and for my extended family alone, not even for their tribal men. You understand? Not even for their tribal men. What have this so-called democracy produced in some of these African countries? Rather they lie, what they don't do, they say they're doing it. They will buy the media, they will bribe everybody around.
And rig the election.
They will rig the election.
Yep.
So they're not really doing nothing. They just want to be there. You see, that's why I say I prefer army to arrest these people. You see, when you rule for some time, allow other boys to come and arrest them.
Exactly. You see, the thing is, in West Africa in particular, because these other parts of Africa, you know, like, I don't know about the East guys. I never heard of them having coups like this. We have more coups than everybody else. One thing about West Africa, we like the copycat. It's a copycat culture. When one person does something, they look up to the white man. If the United States or all these other countries, European countries, don't say too much or whatever, the next door neighbor is want to copy style and take over. And some of these guys, not only the ECOMOG, but some of these guys communicate with each other. You know? Like even this president, when he faked the election in Sierra Leone, there are some young boys that wanted to overthrow him. Yes, in Sierra Leone, they find communications papers with guys in Guinea, Mali, all those places. That's how they traced them and found them and arrested those boys. And some of the papers what they were writing on it, they were translating from French to English. They say, we're having fun, we're enjoying. we're enjoying. Yes, they said they're enjoying. When they took when they translate the letters from French to English, so because they were looking for support, they say, hey, can you back us up? We're about to go on this mission. You see what I'm saying? Can we back up? How is this? How is the lifestyle? And they say, oh, we're enjoying. We're enjoying. We'll back you up. We'll back you up. You see what I'm saying? But you see, you have all these young boys in these militaries all over through West Africans eyeing these presidents, particularly in West Africa. They're just waiting for somebody to help them out or bail them, but they're eyeing them. They're looking at them, they're looking at how they're having fun, they're enjoying and stuff. Man, when those young boys came to power in Sierra Leone, They're so petty. When they were in the military, some of the females they couldn't talk to. You talk to them, they beat you up. All the guys they wanted, you want the same guys they want, they beat you up. They just take you over. They were like, okay, you guys were the guys that's what enjoy. I know some people that they beat up. They say you guys were the guys who were enjoying getting all the nice girls in the neighborhood. What? You play, they're so petty, those young boys. You play football with them, you can't beat them. You know? They go anyway. One of these guys was he was arguing with the American ambassador. This is a well-known story, I know. American ambassador. Because the American ambassador was telling him, these are the rules. And then he said, no, these are not the rules. They say, this is Sierra Leone. They say, if you say too much, I'll stop your motorcade and take the American flag and tear it up in pieces. Yeah, one of these young boys, he was like the second in command. He tried to overthrow Valentine Strasser. He couldn't. They sent him to London, England. They gave him a bag of money and sent him to London. This is the boy. These are some of the boys that are egoistic, and they're so they fantasize this power. But really, some of them are good-hearted people. Some of them, like these young boys, they just want to enjoy. They want to enjoy. I'm telling you. Those boys, they go anywhere they go. They do anything. They go to like a bar or a restaurant. Everybody's supposed to get up. You know, they hold and the entourage battalion, they eating. You know, all the men should leave, all the women should stay. So, you know, you have
Yeah, I was about to say that situation reminds me of the situation that's happening now, which is why I'm very okay. If I'm being honest, I'm actually scared of some of these coups. I'm scared of the military because these are guys who are power hungry. They want power. They're in the
exactly.
military. That's not enough. They need to
Yeah,
become president after.
yeah.
They're not gonna stop. So that's why I don't see these coups as that good. It's some people say it's 50-50. I see it as more bad than good.
Yeah, it's more bad than good because on top of that, you get sanctioned. You
Yeah.
know, they're the only ones that are enjoying. You're trying to import stuff from other places. They might not let the boats and whatever come through. You know, West Africa in particular, we like to import a lot of stuff. I mean, we eat what we produce, but we import a lot of stuff. That's how these small shops and these shops, they make money. People open their shops, they import stuff from wherever. You know, all these people need to say is, we're not letting any boat come through. That would really hurt us real bad. You know, we like that importation of stuff. You know, and the leaders, they will enjoy. They'll find another way for them to feed their battalions and their presidential guard or whatever, and themselves can eat, and their wives or their girlfriends or whatever. But us, the regular people that need to order stuff from, you know, out, you know, that's tough. You know, look at a country like Niger. They depend on Nigeria's ports. You know, how are you going to get stuff? There are people in there that do business between Niger and Nigeria, go to a Nigeria port, pick up the stuff, and come all the way to Niger that's landlocked. You know, all that has been stopped. Even places like Burkina Faso. You know, Burkina Faso goes through Ghana. You know, don't they come through Ghana to get their stuff? Sometimes, because they too are landlocked. You know, People, the regular people that are doing businesses, there's no program, serious agricultural program that would say, okay, well, and back in agriculture, and back in manufacturing of food items, that we are going to block off our ports. We have enough factories that we don't need to import anything. They don't do stuff like that, you know.
I agree.
So
I think there's a romanticization of coup d'etats. I think what happens is people fall in love with the leaders. They fall in love with what the leaders say on TV. So people get very, very happy, but they don't know how the people in that country are living. You know,
yeah,
they don't know.
you don't know. People are suffering. Like even like Sierra Leone, because this guy faked the elections. They are about to sanction us. Now they told the guy, step down. You lost the elections, because they had all these people, EU observers, all types of observers. They found out that they rigged the election. Now they're supposed to have grants come in to help subsidize gas, subsidize food imports. Now they took 700 million away from us, from between the EU and the United States. 700 million that was supposed to subsidize gas in the major cities. Now gas has gone sky high. Food imports are sky high. People trying to go out to protest. This guy says, if you protest, I'm gonna shoot you. You know?
Yeah.
It's tough, particularly, I mean, West Africa. I mean, Liberia and Guinea got a free ports, but nothing comes in. Ever since ECOWAS passed sanctions, the African Union passed sanctions against Guinea. Who else? UN, United Nations, the European Union, and United States, all of them passed sanctions. Nothing is coming in. Yeah, it's but that's what happens. It'll be coup after a coup after a coup. But the problem is these politicians. When you lose an election, let it go.
Yeah.
You know, let it go. If you lost an election, let it go. All that it does is a breeding ground for coup d'etats. And then some other politicians, they don't. It's not only about losing the elections; they want to go for a third time. Like same thing, the guy in Guinea, they wanted to go for a third time. You know, that's why they overthrew him. You know this. Oh man.
That that is, I don't know. I think that the region that we've been using coups for so long that it's like an addiction now. It's, if anything goes wrong, you can always just do a coup,
And
and
we
that
have
is
that
a
copycat
huge
mentality.
problem. Yeah,
Copycat mentality.
very much.
If these, I'm telling you, all these other West African countries that have civilian presidents, I bet all these young soldiers in there are eyeing, looking at the guys over in Mali and Niger, and you know they're envious of them. They're really
Yeah.
they're really envious of them. They're waiting on their own chance. I'm serious. They're envious of them. They're waiting on their own chance or their own turn to you know, do a coup or whatever. I'm telling you. Oh man, West Africa, man. I don't know. We were doing good. It's just presidents. Yeah, we were doing good. Because for a long time we had a lot of military leaders. We did
Yeah.
good to get rid of all the military leaders and have civilians.
Yeah, I
But this
remember
guy,
the
yeah,
golden
you remember,
age,
right?
the 60s, 70s,
Yeah,
even 80s,
80s.
90s. It
Yeah,
was just
coups.
coups, 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 coups. And you saw some stability. I don't know what happened in like
It's just guys.
2020. I don't know what happened.
These guys want to stay longer than they should,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, right? The first they should have, where all this messed up is in Guinea, because West Africans, we lack copycatting. if you make an example out of Guinea, all these young soldiers everywhere else will be scared, But they let Guinea, they were negotiating with Guinea and whatever. After a little while, all these other guys were like, something? Look at those guys over there. I mean, we're the same rank and file, we're the same military grade, whatever. Military rank, and they're having fun, and we over here not having
That's a
fun.
good point. That's a very good point, because I was even looking at some of these interviews, and you just see these young guys and they're wearing their military uniforms and they look so cool and they're making speeches, and it's like I can see how that influences somebody else too.
Yeah. Yeah. They should have made an example out of the guy in Guinea. Once you hit him hard like that, nobody else will try. But
Yeah.
West Africa, that's the region of copycats. Everything we copy each other. Everything we copy each other. We know to copy each other. So what Nigeria was trying to do to Niger, they should have done it to Guinea. Made an example out of the guy. I don't care if you win or lose. Just the fact that you tried, that you can send a whole bunch of troops in there for that purpose, will make all the others, these other young boys and young soldiers scared. But they just let them. We just don't went backward. Please look at all the places like Kenya, Tanzania. Those places, they never had coups. With the exception of Rwanda, Uganda. I think Uganda had a coup. Or it was a revolution. It was a war, and then they took over. Yeah, but like coups like we have in West Africa, nobody has it like us.
That's true.
Nobody has it like us, and that's it. The bandwagon mentality. That bandwagon. They're hearing all this. What these other soldiers? I say that in Sierra Leone, they cut the guys. They were they send letters to these guys in Mali and Guinea if they would support them. You understand what I'm saying? So they sent a reply, although they denied the allegation. They found when they translated the letters from French to English, the guys were telling them, well, we're having fun. Man. And they were asking them all types of questions about how to stage a coup, what they need. Oh, what I tell you. Oh, man. You see, this is the thing, like, when you invest back home, sometimes stuff like this hits you hard. We're like, should I stay in America or should I go back? I'm serious. I'm serious.
What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean?
No, like for example, I'm invested back in Sierra Leone, right?
Yeah.
I go back and forth between there and here. You see what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
when coups happen in any West African country, they shut everything down, and
Yeah.
whatever you start to doubt yourself and like, oh, I don't did this, I don't did that, I should have stayed in America. Don't that thought cross your mind sometimes?
Yeah, no. That's true. That's true.
Because when they start doing sanctions, you can import, you can send things over there, you know, and oh man, Oh man, after the elections, I was like, whoa, I hope we don't another coup doesn't come up in Sierra Leone. Because we were thinking the last time they had a coup, we couldn't send none. Even Western Union. At one time, the United States wanted to shut your Western Union down and MoneyGram. I was like, how are we going to send money to people over there? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's true. When a coup happens, everything shuts down. And I think another thing, because people whose their country has never been in a coup, they can never understand. Because when I hear people say things like, "Oh, this coup was uh it was bloodless," I don't believe that any coup is ever bloodless.
Yeah, they just don't
Maybe they
release the
just don't.
information.
Yeah, maybe they just don't say this is what happened, but there's no way a country can be going through that transition. You have all of these military armed men and
Yeah,
nobody died. Like, I don't believe that.
I don't believe that. I don't
Nope.
believe that. That's the problem. You know, woo. I said the first time that happened, there was a coup. When there was a coup in Sierra Leone, I know my cousin had been in London for forever. He was a professor. He shipped all his things, everything. You know, when you finally moving back home, ship everything in like 4 or 5 containers. You know, they had that coup. His things were over there for a year at a port,
Oh, wow.
trying to get it out, trying to get. You know, you just cut off your life. You you stop your life in England. You say you going back home, and all your stuff you put in the container, you know, to start life back home, was there for a year, a whole year. And when he finally went over there, like 2 of the containers, they had opened them up. And what can he say? They showed him where his containers were. Some of them were opened up. And it's military people. You can't say nothing. You can't start arguing with anybody.
Yep. Wait, so are you saying that the those countries that had coups like Guinea or whatever that they they're still sanctioned today? I
Yeah,
thought
they're
the
still
sanction.
sanctioned. Yeah,
Really?
yes. African Union, United Nations, ECOWAS, sanction them.
How are they surviving?
They got their minerals. That's the thing about West Africa. You got natural resources. You leave those guys because in Guinea they still let the Russians mine the bauxite, so they produce
Oh,
the aluminum. So they pay them. All right, but that just goes to the regime, the military people. Same thing
yeah.
in what you call Niger. They got uranium. So I don't know if they want to. They were talking about bringing in Chinese because to mine instead of the French. They're trying to kick the French out and make a deal with the Chinese, so they'll pay them for the uranium. Mali, they got gold too. You know, Burkina Faso got gold. So those corporations, they let them run. But all that money goes to the instead of the people, it goes to the government. You know, regular people, you need free flow of cash coming in because people, West Africa, we do a lot of imports. You know, most of our food items and most of our electronics and most of that is imported. You know, free movement to go out of the country to go to China and order stuff, or go to America or Europe and stuff like that, and order stuff and bring them, put them on a boat and bring them out. They'll stop that. You know, and most of the regular people are dependent on these stores. You know, to buy their daily whatever, you know, buy their daily food. That's the problem.
Hmm.
It's oh man. Man, I'm just hoping this guy that don't overthrow him. Cause then Sierra Leone and Guinea, they that's cut up because you can't go to Guinea. Liberia just cut us off. You can't go to no other West African place to get
Yeah,
your food.
like the West Africa shipping right now it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And you go and feel, the free movement. You come over here, you order stuff. I mean, you go over there, you fill up you stock up your stores. People do that. People go to Dubai. People go to China, Europe, wherever. People from America, Canada, all those people send stuff over there. You know, they have stores building materials to build houses and whatever. Even stationery for the kids to go to school. School supplies. All comes from Europe and America. Those places. Once they cut it off, it's a problem.
But the question remains, why are all these coups happening in the exact same part of the region?
It's
It's like
copycats.
that Chadaic Sahelian area.
Yeah.
So
Well, all those people were trained by the U.S. Military to fight jihadists.
yeah.
Okay. So all those guys, that's where the training comes from. They come in when they come to town. Usually, what they do is the same thing that happened in Sierra Leone and the Gambia. Because when you come to your headquarters back in your home country to request either supplies or report to the generals, right? So you can come in with a whole battalion, a whole bunch of people on your own. You see what I'm trying to say? And sometimes they'll switch soldiers. Like they say you fight for a year or 6 months, they switch you out with some people that were staying in the country. So they rotate back and forth. You see what I'm trying to say? So people can
Yeah.
come in with a whole bunch of people just thinking, oh, these guys are coming to rotate with the guys over here. Not knowing over there they don't plan whatever they planned. And when they come in, they have their guns, they have everything. They over because everything within the countries, somebody will eavesdrop or intelligence will pick it up. If they see soldiers gathering and having meetings or whatever, they'll arrest them and question them.
Now, do you think that this has anything to do with France, or it's just
Yeah,
like the
it's
Islamic
there's a
jihadism?
genuine anti-French sentiment by the people. It's genuine. Okay. Now, what these soldiers are capitalizing on, it's using the people's hate for France as a reason why they overthrew the government. You see what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
all the reasons France, all the bad things France have done, take economically strangle those countries. They can't have their own currency. They can't have and all the list of whatever they were colonized. Their money is invested into the French treasury, and they give them very little after they send their money over there. All the reasons, But really, in reality, those guys are out there to fill their pockets. That's all they're there for. Because usually they'll give them, they say 6 months. Within 6 months, okay, if you don't like, if it's a genuine reason to overthrow the next person, the civilian government, we give you 6 months transition period where they can hold free and fair elections and hand it over to a fresh civilian government. But like this guy in Guinea, he was saying, well, it's too early. I mean, they're going to consult more people. I'm like, So ECOWAS was like, man, you don't consult everybody you need to consult. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead and hold the elections. They said they still need time to talk to more people. But that's time they're buying to steal money. You see what I'm saying? They're buying time to steal money. That's what they do. And then sometimes they will take off their uniforms. Like I told you, this guy in Sierra Leone might have been took off his uniform and wore civilian clothing and say, I'm a civilian now. But he runs the place in military style. You see? So that's the reason why. I mean, it's just tough. Because like Sierra Leone and Guinea borderline is closed. Like I tried to last time I was back home, I tried to see if I could go close to the border or whatever. They barricaded the whole place. West African, what did they write on there? They say West African sanction border closing between Sierra Leone and Guinea. So nobody can go into Guinea. Nobody from Guinea can come to Sierra Leone. That's the sanction. You know?
Wow.
Yep. Because I got family members over there in Guinea that, I was thinking we talk, but they too can't come to Sierra Leone either because of the situation. And so it's that's the first thing Nigeria should have did. Gather everybody go to war with the guy in Guinea. You make an example out of him. I don't care if he wins the battle or not. But any government that takes over knows that somebody's coming for you. You see what I'm saying? They'll be scared. But they talk. They'll say transitional period. They're negotiating. After a little while, these other guys were like, looks like they didn't do nothing to that other guy. So yeah, we might as well take over. And that emboldens all these other young soldiers in the rest of the other West African countries that have a civilian president. They're just waiting for one bad thing or one grievance. So come on, and then they use it as an excuse to overthrow the government if they're successful.
Yeah, I can see that happening, and I can see that happening in some other West African countries for sure. I can. Even West African country, because I think every West African country has had a coup before. Yeah, they have.
Yep.
So they can do it again.
Yeah, they can. So that's what ECOWAS should have done. Now you have less members. You sanction Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. That's 4 countries out of 16. So if anything, they should be securing the other 12.
Yep.
That's what it should do. Secure the other 12. Make sure they have free and fair elections. They have free and fair elections, and democracy. It will be tough. Number one thing, the judiciary is not the electoral commission that conduct the elections. It's under the thumb of the president. The judiciary, doesn't have power over the president. Stuff like that. They need to come up with West African-wide legislation that say all judiciaries in West Africa have power over the president. That arm of the government has power. How can you have the courts and the president appoints the judges to go to the courts?
Yeah, I agree with that. The West African presidents have way too much unchecked power. Like, I don't know what is going on with the other federal branches of government. I don't know what's going on. It
Yeah,
seems like one person can just change everything, and nobody can, like, nobody has a say. That's a huge I don't know how that's happening. I don't know how, but ECOWAS, see, this is why I call ECOWAS useless, because that's one thing that ECOWAS they could have helped with that. They
yeah,
could
they
have
could have.
convinced some countries to change that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the same thing they did to yeah, they should make this thing free and fair election. What if they need to spend money? This is number one thing they need to spend money on: election equipment and voter registration and voter education. Because some of these some of these villages and rural areas, they'll say they have 1 million people. You see what I'm saying? Because there's no sophisticated equipment that doesn't go, it's all in the cities and towns. They say the villages have this X amount of votes, you know, and they go there, they'll count kids and stuff, put them on the register to vote that are not of the eligible age. You know, it's just, oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it should do. The United States and the European Union really wants democracy to thrive in West Africa. Invest heavily in equipment. You know, like not only voting the census. They should take over the census. They should take over the census. They take over data collection, like counting how many people are really in the population. How many people in the population are eligible to vote? Where are they? You know, you spend the bring in the equipment and the education. Make sure you have offices in whatever all those places, not for just elections. On a year by year basis, you go in there and count, do a head count, because that's why they cheat. You know, they put kids on a register. They put fake people on the register, stuff boxes. You know, some areas don't vote. You know, they vote they vote for a couple of hours and then they cut it off. They be like, we ran out of ballot papers, so everybody go home. You see what?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody go home. You know, I'm telling you, man. That's what they need. They want democracy in West Africa. They need to invest in that. Know who are kids among the population, who are the old elders, the adults who are eligible. Have a register, have a head count every year on your own. Bring in teams of people. Not Africans, bring white people. Because bring Africans, the president, pull them to the side and be like, hey, don't count too much over there. Yeah, so, I mean, the army, those soldiers are waiting down there, waiting on the wings. They hear any grievance, they're taking up arms. And that's it. And then you're gonna have to work hard to get them off the, get them to relinquish power, because once they tasted it, they like it. Tastes good because look at this guy. How they were living. One of these guys, I'm telling you, we were giving them a ride. My uncle, you know, used to do this. But how does it used to work for the transportation. One of my uncles. Transportation Department, Government Department, Ministry of Transportation. So they when they do the rides, they drive the bus guys were done with their routes. He will take up because they head of the department. So one of these guys that was in the military was always short of money. He would hitch a ride. Hey, uncle, can I come on? He said, come on in. Give him a free ride. You want to see how that dude living? He got a 15-bedroom house, had all kinds of cars, Bentleys on there, a pool. So you see, that's what those young soldiers hear. They hear those stories. So, wait in the wings. All right, African man, where you been? Where have you been?
Where have I been?
Yeah, where have you been? You just gone missing.
You know what? I've actually okay. So I I only left for about a month. I came back, but I wasn't using my African Millennial account. But I
Okay.
wasn't streaming, but I was here. So I was in a lot of these live chats with you guys, but I wasn't using my
I was like,
regular
where is
account.
she? Where is she? I hope everything's okay with her.
Oh, nah, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay. All right. I thought you had gotten married and all that. And when you getting married, we want to come over for the
Alright.
wedding. No? Huh?
Huh?
When you getting married, we want to come over for the wedding. I'm just
Uh,
messing with you. I'm just messing with you. Oh, but us West Africans, when you don't see us for a while, they say, "Oh, they just got married." Look at this. Something happened to them. They went. What happened? So, what?
that's true. That's true.
Thinking. I don't know who I was talking to the other day. I don't know who he was. I was like, well, I ain't seen her. I ain't seen her. I forgot I was in one of those chats. I was like, have you seen African Millennium? I said, I haven't seen her. I was like, I hope she's okay. Well, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Well, you
good.
gonna be coming on live or just spontaneously?
No. I'll be back. Like I'm
Okay.
gonna, I'm gonna stream again. Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Well, we miss you. We miss you. We miss you a lot.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
We miss you a lot. Okay. Well, I gotta run. Okay.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Next
Yeah.
next time you're having your stream, I'll put on the notification sign. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Well, that was a great show. That was a good time back. I actually streamed longer than I thought it would for the first time back. Thank you, Shalani, my Canadian friend. Shalani, there is going to be a hurricane, I think in Newfoundland or Nova Scotia. So, yeah, like, yeah. There's gonna be a hurricane in Canada, by the way. Not where I live, but anyway. So, yeah, let me just wrap up the stream with my final thoughts about these coups for anyone who missed in the beginning. I I I hate to say this, but I don't believe that these coups are really changing anything. I think that these coups are like a band-aid that doesn't actually heal the problem. I think that some of the propaganda that people are seeing on the TV about these coups and these protests are overly optimistic because, again, the same problems that have happened for the last 60, 50 years since independence, they don't seem or appear to be going away just because you remove a leader or just because you're saying that you're kicking out France when realistically speaking, and I don't even mean to be mean, how are you actually kicking France out of the country? Like how? You use the CFA, you use the French currency. For goodness sakes, your official language is French, but you're telling me that you're kicking out France. Let me guess, you're gonna buy weapons from France to go to war with the French troops in your country? I mean, like I'm not even trying to be mean here. I'm just really confused on what actually the plan is, right? And I'm not saying that to be mean, but I'm saying that if I wasn't African, that's what I would be thinking. That you're here saying you're kicking out France when there are actual countries, there are actual nations who actually have done that. And it wasn't something that was easy. Therefore, these protests where people are very happy, they're singing, they're having all these signs, they're having all this time, is not realistic of the actual situation. Like it really isn't. But again, I have nothing against the people on the streets who are doing this, the lay people who, are just market sellers. They're just living their regular life. They're just being, human beings. That's not who I'm looking at with skepticism. I'm looking at these actual leaders. I'm looking at these interim governments. I'm looking at even these news broadcasts that are saying all of these things. And I'm really thinking, what's actually going on here? Because to me, it's kind of a performance, right? It's kind of a performance to evoke some type of emotion, to evoke this, to evoke that. Amara just said that Guinea is still sanctioned by AU. They're still sanctioned by United Nations. They're still sanctioned by a whole bunch of Western powers. Meaning they're being punished for these coups, and meaning that the people are still suffering, meaning that there's a possibility that there's going to be another coup not very soon right afterwards. And I I just think that's going to be the case for more and more and more years to come. I think that ECOWAS is just horrible and they're being double-sided. I don't know. I guess that's what you have to do when you're not being financed by Africans. You have to like say, "Oh, you're for the Africans," but you're actually for the ops. So forget them. But yeah, like I just until I and okay, I'm not gonna take. You guys know I'm not gonna take a plane to go to Niger to listen to what these people are saying, to listen to what the government is saying, to actually know whether anything real or substantial is happening. Of course, I'm not going to do that. I don't even have the ability to do that. But until I don't know, I just get some kind of sign or just something more tangible that these coups are worth it and that something is actually changing and it's not going to be the same thing that has been happening over and over, then I think I'll hold off on being super optimistic. I think I'll hold off on that because what has that done for the past 50, 60 years for some of these countries? What has that done? Oh, we're gonna do a coup and then we're gonna start all over again. And then the motivation goes away, and then like 5 years later, there's another coup, and the problem that they were complaining about has even gotten worse because we're still in an economic downfall, right? So, what makes me think that things are gonna get better when we're still dealing with the effects of COVID? So it's just, I don't know, but anyways, that's basically all I have to say about this. Thanks guys for being here. And yeah, I will be back. um I'll be back next week with a different topic, probably a bit earlier, but definitely appreciate all the panelists, all the comments. Thanks everyone for being here. I did read everything that you guys said and I responded in my mind. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. How do you guys feel about the coups? Are you guys excited? Are you guys happy? In some of the comments earlier, I was actually happy to hear that more people were thinking objectively. Because if you watch these African channels, right, like these Swahili Nation, I don't know, African Diaspora, like just any of these African news channels, and sometimes Diaspora African news channels, they will just, oh, make Africa great again. I actually like that channel, but anyways, these people will just clip what these cool leaders say and then they'll take it as fact. Like there was this one article, no one knows where the source came from, right? But there's this one article that then converted to a video of them saying, "Oh, Niger is demanding better prices for their uranium with France." And I was like, "Okay, if this is real, where's the document that actually proves that?" How come the junta leader is not saying anything about this? How come they didn't have a press conference saying, "Oh yeah, we redrew the terms with France and we're deciding and demanding to get more." So how does this Western, you know, uncredible news station know that Niger, in the middle of being in a military junta, is able to the military is not a legitimate form of government. It's just like a it's just like a transitional government, right? So how is a transitional government able to make deals with France about minerals? How is that happening? You know? But then you ask that and you're being mean, you're being rude, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? Whatever. Yes. Anyways, that is my time. You're saying they deserve the fires? Oh man, that's mean. Okay. Anyways, that's my time. I will talk to you guys soon and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.